Hi, this is Pat Johnson, your sociology instructor. In this mini lecture, we're going to start talking about families, one of our major social institutions. There are some vocabulary words that go along with families, and in this lecture, we're going to start exploring some of those vocabulary words. First, let's define what a family is. The family, the most basic social institution in our society, is defined as a group of individuals related to one another by blood, marriage, or adoption, who form an economic unit, the adult members of which are responsible for the upbringing of children. Again, we have a pretty big definition of a concept we pretty much take for granted. But if you take a look at that definition, it makes sense that families' purposes are the upbringing of children, and that families are formed by marriage, adoption, or by blood ties. Families are an economic unit. There is a financial support system in place there. And again, this is a social institution found in all societies. Let's take a look at some of the vocabulary words we'll be using. So I want you to think about a picture in your mind of who your family is. The picture you see on your screen is just some of my family. I have two parents who are still living. They just celebrated their 64th wedding anniversary. I have three siblings, all of who are married, and all of my siblings have children. Those children, in other words, my parents' grandchildren, my nieces and nephews, also have children, or at least some of them do. These people make up my family. But, as I said, there are particular vocabulary words for the members of your family, whether they are the family you were born into or whether they are the family that you create. A nuclear family are the parents or a single parent and their children living in a household. So when I grew up, I lived in various homes. We moved a lot with my two parents and my three siblings. We formed a nuclear family. But at one point in our family's life, we were an extended family when my father's parents and his brother, my uncle, lived with us. An extended family are parents, children, and other kin from other generations, often grandparents living in a household. There also could be aunts, uncles, cousins, etc. This is an extended family. Believe it or not, in most parts of the world, extended families live under a single roof, more so than just a nuclear family. Other vocabulary words that we need to take a look at are family of orientation and family of procreation. When I was growing up, as I said, I lived with my three siblings and my parents. This is my family of orientation, the family into which an individual is born. Some of you have created your own families. You have children. You may be married. This is your family of procreation. The families individuals initiate through marriage, cohabitation, or by having children. So when you procreate, when you have children, when you marry, when you cohabitate, that is your family of procreation. The family you were born into is your family of orientation. We also need to talk about some vocabulary words having to do with where the family lives. In many parts of the world, Patra locality, Patra being a word that means father, and locality meaning location, Patra locality is a family system in which the wife is expected to live near the husband's family. I grew up in the farmland of Wisconsin, and farms were passed on from generation to generation. Patra locality was often a residential pattern where the father would inherit a farm, would farm it with his wife, they would have children, and then the farm would be passed on to the next generation, usually the eldest son, who would continue that line. And the eldest son, and often some of his siblings, would also live near their parents and farm that land. This was very much patrilocality. In some parts of the world, there are cultures that practice matrilocality, matra meaning mother. So matrilocality is a family system in which the husband is expected to live near the wife's family. There are fewer examples of matrilocality than there are patrilocality, but one that I found is the Bemba people. So here's a Bemba family in Zambia that practices matrilocality. Many of you do not live near your parents, and you practice the new family location called neo-locality. Neo is a prefix meaning new, so a new location. Neo-locality is a residential pattern in which a married couple lives apart from both sets of parents. I teach near a military base. Many of my students are active duty, veterans, or their family members. And very few of my students grew up in this location around family members. A few did, but not many. Many were brought here by the military, and they are practicing neo-locality. So these are just a few vocabulary words that we'll be using in this module, and we'll see more when we talk about patterns of marriage.